Emma Reed's Crime here, your fellow crime thriller and mystery book lover. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My office stroke library is slowly getting there, but it's not quite ready. But I'm just so pleased that I finally have a bookish backdrop for these videos. At the start of May, I said that I was manifesting that I was going to have the best reading month ever. However, that didn't quite happen. I've had a lot going on these past few weeks, all extremely positive, but it's just meant that I've been really busy and I've not actually had a chance to read that much. I only managed to read 8 books this month, which is way less than my monthly average, but I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to kick myself about it because you know what? It's a hobby and hobbies are fun, and if you start getting stressed about numbers, then that will just take away from the enjoyment. In this video, I thought I'd do a May monthly wrap-up starting from my least favourite and ending with my favourite. Before I tell you about the books that I've finished, I thought I'd really quickly tell you about the 3 books which I'm currently reading, which will make it into next month's wrap-up. On audio, I am still listening to Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and I know it's taken me ages to get through it, but I am absolutely loving it. It's quite a long audiobook, and usually I listen to audiobooks on 1.6 times speed. However, because the performance is so fantastic, I'm listening to it on a 1 times speed, and I've not done much driving, so it's taken me ages to get through it. However, when I do finish it, I strongly believe it's going to be a 5-star. I'm about to start A Beautiful Way to Die by Eleni Kyriakou. Sorry, I've just got the dust jacket for you because I can't be bothered to go downstairs to get the hardback. I loved her previous book, The Unspeakable Act of Zina Pavlou, and this is meant to be absolutely phenomenal. On my Kindle, I'm currently reading Into the Fire by G.D. Wright. I absolutely loved his previous book, After the Storm, and he's currently really poorly in a hospital, so I thought it was really important to read it and support him. I'm not going to lie to you, it is quite a slow start, but once I hit the 40% mark, I became fully invested and it's really good so far. I'm about 70% of the way through. I will do full reviews of those on my next monthly wrap-up. However, if you can't possibly wait until then, I will be putting full reviews of all those books on my Instagram page, on my TikTok, and also on my website. Starting off with my least favourite book of the month, and that was The Bleeding by Joanna Gustafson. The story follows 3 different women during 3 different timelines, however they all have one mystery in common. I buddy read this with my friends Emma and Ashley because we've also buddy read her book Son, which I thought was brilliant, and also her book Yule Island, which I thought was alright, so I had high hopes for this. It started off really strong. I loved the 2002, the more modern day timeline. I wasn't too fussed on the other 2 timelines, and it was really obvious where they were heading, but they didn't take up as much of the story. However, the further on I went in the story, the more ridiculous and the more over the top I found it. There were some interesting twists, but I just thought they were a bit ridiculous. I gave it 3 stars. It really wasn't my cup of tea, but some people might like it. Emma, who I buddy read it with, gave it 4 stars. Next we have Homicide at the Haunted House by Beth Dolgner, which is available on Kindle Unlimited, and I saw this book on Michaela's Cozy Mystery vlog. The main character, whose name completely escapes me, she's heading to stay with her brother after her divorce when her car breaks down. She ends up having to stay in a town called Nightmare in Arizona while she waits for her car to be fixed. Slight problem is that she has no money, so she can't afford for her car to be fixed, nor can she afford the hotel stay. So she ends up taking a job at a haunted house, and on her first day, she encounters a dead body. The book is quite short, I think it's less than 200 pages. However, I found the first half of the book incredibly slow and it took me ages to get through it. I was poorly when I started it, so that could have been part of the problem. I found the second half of the story much more enjoyable, and the ending did leave me wanting more. So next time I treat myself to Kindle Unlimited, I may check out book 2. Overall, I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. Next up is Holmes and Moriarty by Gareth Rubin. In this story, Holmes and Moriarty, who are obviously arch nemesises, well, they have to team up to solve a mystery. It's a real character-driven mystery, and it's filled with really intriguing, complicated character dynamics, which I really enjoyed reading about. The story is told through 2 POVs, and each chapter alternates which POV it is. And I always find that that makes a story really gripping. I did find that this was a bit of a slow burn to start with, and as a dyslexic, I did find the language in this a little bit tricky at times, but overall I enjoyed it and I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. I did start to feel a slump coming on, and I think that there's no better author to help try and pull you out of a slump than Frida McFadden, so I read her latest release. I got the work special edition because I am a marketer's dream and I am a sucker for a gorgeous sprayed edge. You never get nice sprayed edges when it comes to thrillers, so when I see them, I try and get my hands on them. Main character Blake, he has it all. A high-flying career, a beautiful fiancée and a stunning home. However, his life quickly falls apart when he is abruptly fired from his job. In order to make ends meet, him and his fiancée decide to rent a room out and get a tenant. They encounter some really quirky, unique individuals as prospective tenants. And then at last, Whitney comes to view the flat. She is normal and she is stunning. She is exactly the kind of tenant that Blake wants. Or is she? As soon as she moves in, there are some major red flags. I enjoyed this, I binged it in a day, and it really helped me get out of that slumpy feeling. As per with her books, the twist is kind of random and doesn't make sense, yet it's really shocking. Overall, I gave this 4 stars out of 5. Next up is The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. This was mine and Michaela's in-person book club pick, and it was Michaela's choice. One day, everybody the age of 22 and over receives a box outside their home. Inside this box is a piece of string, and the length of string corresponds to each person's life expectancy. And those younger than 22, when they hit 22, they also receive the box with the string. This is kind of a dystopian sci-fi novel, and it gave major The One vibes by John Mars. I thought it had a real, unique, innovative, intriguing premise, and it was just a bit different to the norm. There were times in the story where I did find it a bit political, and it makes sense because if that were to happen in real life, then I can imagine all the politics which would go behind it. However, reading about that sort of thing in books is not really my cup of tea. Overall though, I thought it was an absolutely cracking read, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Loads of you have told me that I needed to read this book, and I listened to your recommendations, so I decided this month to pick up The Puppet Show by M.W. Craven. This is book 1 in the Washington Poe series, where disgraced detective Washington Poe reluctantly has to team up with awkward civilian analyst Tilly Bradshaw. It's a classic duo hunting down a serial killer book. I absolutely adored this and want to say a massive thank you to anyone who has ever recommended me this book. I can't believe it took me so long to get to it. I thought Washington Poe was a great character, but I particularly loved Tilly. Oh, she was just the best. She gave me Strange Sally Diamond, Molly the Maid vibes. These fantastic characters made this stand out compared to other detective serial killer books. I had to knock half a star off for this book because I guessed a serial killer. There were no particular clues or breadcrumbs which I picked up within the story. It was just a case where I thought if I was an author, that's who I'd make the killer, and I was correct. So I overall really loved it, and I gave it 4 stars. 6 books down and 2 left to go. If you've made it this far, if you're able to hit that subscribe button, it would mean the world to me. Now on for the final 2 books. Never in a million years did I think that my second favourite book of the month would be a romance book, but it was, and that book was The Favourites by Lainey Fargo. The best way I can describe this book is Carrie Sato is back, but ice skating. It was very high drama, and I mean this with respect, but it was quite trashy and addictive as well. I wouldn't usually pick up a book like this, but loads of thriller lovers who have similar tastes to me have all been giving it 5 stars. I really loved it. Some twists shocked me, but some twists I did see coming a mile off, so it wasn't quite a 5-star read for me, and I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. My favourite book of May was a book I'd been seeing loads of people giving 5 stars to, and I got FOMO, and that book was When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. One night, Jess, a struggling actress, finds a 5-year-old boy hidden in the bushes outside her apartment. After an extremely violent encounter with the boy's father, they find themselves on the run. I find horror very hit and miss, and this was obviously a massive hit for me. I loved it. I just love the evolving relationship between Jess and the boy. The ending gave me all the feels. I cried so much. I don't know if other people would cry when they read it, but I couldn't stop sobbing. Oh, it was just fantastic. This is the first time I've read a book by this author, so I'm definitely going to have to check out his other work. However, I haven't heard the best reviews. Not only was this an extremely strong 5-star read for me, but this is now my current favourite book of 2025. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. How was your May reading month? What was your favourite book? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you. Bye!